Hello guys, it's nice of you to join me. This is the last episode on my adventure in the End Dimension. Yes, it's going to be quite interesting. I tried to figure out where the whole myth of these magical wings that made you fly came from. Yes. So let's see, last episode we left off where we had managed to defeat the dragon. Yes, and I went back to the little base I made where I had my ender chest and my other things to sort myself out so that I could see what I could do to carry on with my adventure there. My adventure at the end of that point was so long. It took so long that rather than have you bored, guys, I decided to have everything at double speed, apart from a few bits where I went even doubler their speed. So, yes. So, what happened next? Let's have a look. So, obviously, the thing that I wanted to do was to sort out my things. I had lost quite a few things from dying to the Ender Dragon, and things got lost in the void, which was unfortunate. I did discover that apart from the other things that I had lost Silky, the Silk Touch pickaxe that I had, so I couldn't pick up the Ender chest. Strangely, I went around to see if I could find it. I mean, it took me a couple of hours to fight the dragon, so obviously it had spawned by that point, so I don't know what I was thinking, but it made it obvious that I had to go back to my base and sort of replenish my resources and pick up some things from my base. So there was nothing to it. I had to jump through the portal. Yes, and then things went very, very weird, and these words started appearing. Yes, it's strange. And the words seemed to know my goblin name. Yes, and they called me a player, which I think was a bit strange. I wasn't quite sure what they meant by that. But, I read the words, yes. But just to make things a bit quicker, let's double the speed here. Right? And yes, so I read the words and they were interesting. Yes, and strangely comforting, I think. Sort of, yes, I guess. I did wonder where does this lead? I wasn't quite sure. It was interesting though, nevertheless. Yes. Very strange. Well, okay. Well, let's double the speed a little bit again. Yes. So yes, the words went on, and yes, they went on quite a bit, and I did read all this. Yes, I did read this. I think it's probably a bit too fast to read everything right now, but I'm sure you're not particularly interested to read every single bit here. But, well, let's double the speed again. Yes, and then the words finished, and then there were names. Yes, there were names, and it seemed to be the names of people that worked for the Minecraft world. Yes, very interesting. No, I have to admit, I didn't know any of these people. So, yes, well, let's double the speed again, but, so yes, there were all these names. Yes, it went on for quite a bit. I wasn't quite sure what to do, really. Yes, I mean, it was, I guess, interesting. Yes, but as I said, I wasn't quite sure whether I was supposed to read all this. So, well, I mean, at any rate, let's double the speed again, shall we? Yes. So, yes, I was a bit confused. I wasn't quite sure what I was supposed to do, and I thought I have to persist, surely. But okay, let's slow down a little bit now, because, yes, what happened at this point is, for some reason, I was wondering what would happen if I pressed the escape button. So I did, and, I returned back. Yes, so that was an interesting 20 or something minutes of my life. Well, anyway, so yes, I got back to the stronghold, and I checked to see whether I had another Silk Touch pickaxe, but no, I did not. And I sorted myself out, and also I took the opportunity to sort out the things that I had lost to the void. So I used all the experience points that I had gathered from the dragon, and I used them to get a new decent pair of booties. I made sure that they had a high up feather falling, because my backup booties had a pretty low feather falling, so they weren't ideal, I guess. And yes, what else did I need? Oh, of course, I needed my Silk Touch pickaxe in order to be able to use my ender chest and be able to pick it up and use it. After I got myself plenty of food, extra food, and all the resources that I needed, I went back to the stronghold, and I went back to the end. Yes. So once I got to the end, I wondered, which way do I go? Which way do I go? I couldn't see anything across anywhere. I mean, I'd heard there's lots of islands, but I couldn't see any other islands, so I was a little bit confused. But then I saw that thingy that appeared after I had killed the dragon, and I thought, I'm not quite sure what that is, but why did I get closer to it? So, yes, so I used some of my cobblestone to make a little staircase, let's call it, and get up there just to have a look and see what that thing was. It looked like some kind of portal, but it was a very small portal, and wasn't quite sure how to get through it. So I decided, well, you know what? There's not much I could do about this right now. Let's carry on with what I thought in the beginning, and let's try to pave our way and see. Maybe I'll be able to get to another island at some point. So that's what I did. I was quite paranoid, I have to say, about accidentally falling in the void and losing all my thingies. So I made sure that I left my ender chest and a barrel with my thingies and an actual end island, so I could get back to them. And I only took with me just a few little bits and bobs that I was going to need for paving. Basically, some slabs, some food, a generic pickaxe, so that just in case I placed a slab in the wrong place and I need to pick it up again, and just a few ender pearls, just in case I was lucky enough to throw one up if I fell to the void. I doubt I would have been able to do anything, to be frank, but I was lucky and I didn't fall into the void. I did the slab too wide because I am a coward and I don't dare go just one wide. I feel that I might fall. And I built a walkway, and I carried on, and I kept on looking up. I mean, I was wearing the pumpkin as well, which didn't help with my visibility. I kept looking up to see how far away I was from the island, and the island started disappearing, but I was looking at where I was going, and I couldn't see anything appearing. I mean, honestly, it was quite demoralizing, I have to say. I wasn't quite sure whether I was doing the right thing, but anyway. Every single time I ran out of slabs, I had to go back to the island. Very silly. But anyway, so yes, I tried to go into a different direction as well, which proved to be a bit silly. I realized that I just needed to carry on going. And then eventually, yes, I was quite surprised when I turned around and I saw, and actually some islands appeared. And by that point, I honestly was feeling like, oh my goodness, this is never going to end. But it did. And then I had to walk all the way back to that island where I had left all my things, so I could pick up all my things to carry on with my adventure. But yes, what can I say? It was all very strange and very silly. So since I was wearing the pumpkin and the Endermen seemed to be not really bothered by me, I thought, why don't I try and chat to them a bit and see if they can give me some information. Yes. Anyway, so I stopped at Chappie and I asked him, did he know about these magical wings that made you fly? And he said, what? You meant the elytra? Oh, you need an end city for that. And I was like, the what? He said, the elytra. And I said, the elytra? And he said, yes, you need an end city. They're on the large islands. Try that way. So, yes, I know it looked like a shorter conversation, but of course I have sped this up double the speed, so. Anyway, so yes, I found that very interesting, and I thanked the person, obviously, and I carried on and tried to build to the next large island and see what I was able to find there. Right, so I walked back to gather my things at that point, and there were a bunch of Endermen there, and they started sort of going on about, oh, you forgot the egg. And I was like, well, I don't know what they're talking about, so I kind of ignored them. But anyway, so I carried on walking, and I found another Enderman, and I asked them, did they know about the elytra? And they said that you need an city with a floating boat, which I thought was interesting, and they said to try that way. And I said thank you, and carried on. And I walked on and on. I had to look around and found another Enderman, and I asked, well, do you know anything about an city with a floating boat? And he said, look at the larger islands. Try that way. And I was like, okay, thank you. And yeah, so I bridged across to get to the next island. Now, as I was arriving to that island, there was an Enderman at the edge who said, you know, you can use chorus fruit to teleport. And I was like, oh. And he also said you can also use an Enderpearl. And I said, well, I need to make sure that I have a way to get back. And he said, there's portals. And then he left. And I was like, there's portals? What? I mean, honestly, I didn't know. I mean, now that I know, I know how much of a numpty I was. But yes, I was only gathering little bits of information here and there from all these different Endermen, and some was saying some very, what sounded to me very strange things. But anyway. So I moved on to the next island. So I bumped into another Enderman, and I asked them about whether they knew anything about an end city with a floating boat. He was quite useful. He said, yes, walk around the perimeter of the largest islands and look across to see which island might have it. They said that the end cities are large structures that can be seen from afar, and that the elytra was on the boat. I said, thank you very much. It was very useful. So I bumped into another Enderman, and I started talking about, do you know anything about an end city with a boat? But he just interrupted me, and he said, you forgot the egg at the center. And I said, well, what egg? What egg? But he just went. And, yes, I was very confused. So I walked to another Enderman and I said, do you know anything about this egg people keep on telling me about? And he said, after you killed the dragon, an egg appeared in the column over the portal. And then he went. And I thought, hold on, that dark thing on the bedrock, over the portal, is that the dragon egg? Was that an egg? It did look like an egg, but I wasn't quite sure because I couldn't see it very clearly. So that was interesting. Now, with the next person that I bumped into, now I had a pretty good conversation with that person. I don't know whether that was because they were stranded on a chorus fruit tree, but I was able to pin them down and make sure I got some information out of them. So he was very helpful. He explained to me all about this egg, the dragon egg, and how to get it, because apparently it's not that easy to get. And also he told me about using the portals, the strange thing that I saw that I thought looked like a portal was very small, and the big island in the center, apparently you can use them by throwing an ender pearl in them, which was interesting. I didn't really know that. So anyway, I walked across and found another Enderman, and I just asked them, can you give me some direction for the end city? But they just went. So I walked up to another Enderman, and I asked, I'm terribly sorry, but do you know where I can find an end city with a floating boat? And they said, well, try across there. And as I was walking along, an Enderman said, why don't you use a chorus fruit to jump from island to island? And I thought, didn't know you could do that. He just went, he didn't give me more information. So I tried that, and I did. I managed to jump from one island to the little island, which was just across it. But then when I tried to go and see if I can find whether if I ate a chorus fruit I would jump to another island, but no, I just kept on transporting to different sections of that little island, which was rather useless. So I'm not quite sure what they were telling me about using the chorus fruit. But anyway, I carried on with paving my way and made sure that I had a way back, because I wasn't quite sure about using those portals. I guess I could use one of the portals, but obviously I had to make sure that I had a way back. I didn't know if I would find a portal close by where the end city, whenever I found an end city, would be. So yes, so I moved on to the next island, and I asked another Enderman whether they had seen an end city with a floating boat around. And he seemed to kind of try and figure out, and chatted with another Enderman, and they said, well, there's none on this island, try that way. And I walked across, had a look around, and then I asked another Enderman whether they knew. They said that they had seen one across one of the islands across, but they couldn't remember which one, which was kind of promising, but at the same time not that helpful. But anyway, I decided to bridge across yet another island and have a look around. So once I got there, I bumped into another Enderman, and I asked them whether they had seen an end city with a floating boat. And he said, it's somewhere around here on one of the other islands. And he went, which was not helpful at all, I have to say, at this point. So, yes, so I very quickly eventually went and found another Enderman and asked them. And they said, yeah, there's one relatively close, I think across that way. I thought, okay, so let me try that way. So I walked, and I had a good look around, and I was walking, trying to see the perimeter of the island. I was trying to follow the advice that I got from one of the Endermen, to just walk around the perimeter of the island and just look across and see far away from a big structure, apparently. Big structure. And then suddenly, right in front of my eyes, as I was walking, bam! I saw a strange big structure. I mean, wow! I was so surprised. I didn't expect it to look like that. I was like, is that it? Is that it? So I went over to some Endermen and I asked, is that an NCD, and does it have an elytra? And they said, yes. And they said, yes, but be careful of the shulkers. And I was like, the what? And they said, the shulkers, you'll see them, they make you float, and after a while, you go splat. Just use a shield and make sure you collect the shells that they drop, useful for boxies. And the other thing that they told me is that the ladder is in the boat. So I said, thank you, of course, yes. You see those things, opening and closing, yeah, so those were the shulkers. And I thought, right, so I have to prepare for battle again. Yes, a bit of a bother, but okay, I could sort myself out and do my best for that. So I put all my things, I set my in the chest and another barrel, put all the things that I didn't need, made sure I sorted myself out with my armor and everything, and my booties, so that if I fell, I wouldn't automatically go splat. I went into the end city. So I got the first shulkers, and I actually got floating, which I thought was interesting. And it was interesting also to have chorus fruit. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, that Enderman who was stuck on the tree also told me that chorus fruit are useful. That when you're floating or falling in the void, eat a chorus fruit and it will teleport you straight to land. And I thought, oh, okay, so that's interesting. So when they told me, when the other Endermen who told me about the shulkers, they said you float and then you go splat, I thought, the chorus fruit will help me with that. Also maybe the enderpearl. I mean, I didn't use the enderpearls as well as I should have done when I was fighting the dragon, but yeah. So you see, yeah, there I ate chorus fruit, which put me back onto the ground, so I was able not to go splat. I decided that I needed to keep my distance from the shulkers, and I made sure that I picked up those shells that the Enderman told me about. Very interesting, very interesting. It was interesting fighting some of the shulkers outside the end city, because it got me used to the whole thing of floating and falling and using the chorus fruit and fighting the shulkers, because I think if I had gone straight into the end city, it would have been a bit overwhelming. And yeah, I was able to go into the end city and work my way around to see if I could find a good point to get onto that boat. I also found these interesting rods that emitted light. They were very interesting. I didn't end up picking some up. You'll see later on. They're called end rods. Yes, I thought, they're gonna be handy. Probably gonna be really useful. I can make some interesting things in my base with them. So I went in and I found a way. I need to go up. It was a bit tricky, but decided that they had put the ladder in a very silly place, so I decided to take it and put it in a different place, which was a bit more helpful. And I made my way up. And then eventually I got hit by the shulkers and I started floating, and I thought, okay, this is it. I need to get close to these guys, and fairly quickly found a way of using the floating that the shulkers were making me do, and I used them to my advantage. I mean, they hit me at the same time as making me float, so they were kind of dangerous, yes. But I made sure that I got hit in times that I needed to get hit, so that I made sure I wouldn't go splat onto the ground. And I was able to make my way up quite fast that way, which was quite handy. It was a bit tricky, though, to get to the shulkers and get them, especially when I got hit with whatever it is. They hit me and made me float, because I couldn't quite control where I was going, not very well while I was floating. But it was an interesting experience. And I went to different sections of this structure called the end city. I wasn't quite sure which way I was supposed to go. It was pretty confusing, especially when you were in. And then whenever I got out, I had a good look around to see if I could work out where I needed to go, which way I was supposed to go. It was very confusing. Oh yeah, I completed the challenge there, which was interesting. So I got floating, and I panicked at some point, and I ate some of the chorus fruit, and it took me all the way outside. I don't know why. Yes. I guess it takes you to actual land and not even within the building. It has to be on endstone, I guess, or something. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it gave me the opportunity to sort myself out, get rid of some things from my inventory, and pick up some other things which might have come in handy. And I went back into the end city to carry on fighting. still I was feeling quite positive about it all because, I wasn't dying. It wasn't like the dragon, basically. It wasn't like the dragon where I died every few minutes. It was very frustrating. Actually, funnily enough, now that I know a little bit more after all that adventure, now that I know a little bit more about the end, I'm actually really, really glad that I didn't die, because it would have taken me forever. Would have respawned out of the end, and I would have had to go all the way back and find my way all across all the islands to get back to the end city to pick up my things. So it would have been really annoying. It's just as well that I didn't die. Spoilers, but yes, I didn't die. I didn't die at all, which was great. It was rather impressive for me, given my previous record with a dragon. But I picked up some of the treasure. I wasn't massively impressed by the treasure. I guess it was good treasure. It wasn't bad treasure for sure. But I think at that point in the game, I had gathered quite a lot of diamond and enchanted things by doing my own enchantments and using my villagers and stuff like that. So I didn't find anything that was unique, let's say, something that I would have gone, oh wow, I can't get something like that in any other place ever. The things that were interesting there at the end city were these end roads, as you see. And also, I guess these pinky, purpley blocks were interesting, but I didn't pick up any of those. I guess at some point I could pick up some. I could go back, I guess. I didn't kill all the shulkers in there, so I guess if I ever need more of those shells, I could go back. But the idea was basically, the main thing that I wanted was to make sure that I got the magical wings, the elytra, yes, or elytra. I'm not quite sure. I think they called it an elytra, so I'll call it an elytra as well. It was quite a maze in there. It was quite a maze. It was quite confusing. But I was able to make my way eventually. I went out at some point and I had a good look around. It was much easier to figure out which way I needed to go, looking from the top and seeing all the walkways of the end city on the different sections of the structure. Of course, you're probably seeing it now casually in front of your screen. You're probably thinking, little goblin, you're such a numpty. Why did you just pillar up to get to the boat if all you wanted was the elytra wings? And I guess I could have done that, huh? I guess I could have done that, but I honestly did not think. I also thought that, I really should gather some of these shells. I should explore the end city and see what else there is in there. I wanted to have a look. I could find all these chests, and I was wondering what's in them. So yes, I didn't do that. Yes, I tried to get to a point where I could bridge across to the boat. And I did find a way to bridge across eventually. So I hadn't actually considered how much I would need to bridge to get to the boat. And I figured out, just as I was trying to build a bridge across, that I didn't actually have enough. I didn't have enough slabs. Numpty, yes. So I had to get back down to my chest. And I was like, oh my goodness, I do not want to go all the way. And thankfully I remembered that I had a bucket of water with me, so I decided, okay, so I'm going to use the water to go down and go back up again. Obviously I could have used a chorus fruit to get down, but then I wouldn't have been able to get back up. And I was like, oh no, I don't want to go through all that in the end city again. Such a fuss. But yes, thankfully I had the water with me, and I was able to go all the way down and then get rid of some of the stuff in my inventory and pick up some more slabs so that I could carry on bridging across to the boat. So I carried on bridging across, and then of course the inevitable happened. I got hit by a shulker and I started floating. So I made my way as quickly as I could to the boat so that at least when the floating thing stopped, I would fall back into the boat. And then I went down as quickly as I possibly could, hoping beyond hope that I wouldn't get hit again by a shark, so I wouldn't have to go all the way back up. And I fell through, and I was absolutely amazed. I was absolutely amazed. I dug through, and there it was. There was an elytra. There was some wings. I mean, there was a shark in front that I had to get rid of. But yes, look at them. Look at them. Wow. I was so amazed. So the myth was real. The myth was real. These wings actually existed. I was absolutely amazed. Yes. But I got it in the end, which is great. I looked for the treasure. Nothing amazing, super amazing, but very, very decent stuff. Oh, and I found some potions as well. I thought, I might as well grab those, huh? Why not? 3 potions. And I went back out. I managed to get the shulker, but I got hit by other shulkers, and it was like, well, this is it. And I ate the chorus fruit, and then I had a mini heart attack because I got very close to the edge of the island, and for a moment I thought I was going to fall in the void, but thankfully I didn't. So I was like, oh, big sigh of relief. I got this thing. This is very fascinating. I got hit by a shulker again, but I didn't mind at the point. I was so elated. And I fell back down again. I was like, well, never mind. It was good fun. I was so happy. I was able to do it. It took me forever. I mean, honestly, this is like hours and hours of adventuring in the end and talking to all sorts of Endermen and being given all this weird information at times. Yes, I had so much stuff to carry back, but I made my way back. I was walking back, trying to get my way back to the portal to get back home. I heard some Endermen saying, "Oh, you forgot the dragon." I think they said the dragon egg, but I mean, to be frank, it sounded a bit like they said you forgot the dragon head. And I thought, the head? What head? I don't know what they're talking about. But it sounded like they were saying you forgot the dragon head. Yes. Very strange. But I thought I'll just ignore that and make my way back home. I found a portal on one of the islands, and when I found the portal, I put a staircase across so I could reach it. And I thought, you know what, since that Enderman told me about using the portal with the Ender pearls, I thought, am I going to try that? And yes, it took me actually where I spawned in the end. I was amazed. I thought before I went back home, I wanted to try that portal and see if it took me back to the portal I went through. Because I wasn't quite sure, but then it didn't. It took me to a completely different place, and I was so confused and so scared. I wasn't quite sure what to do. And I thought, well, there's only one thing I could do, is use the new portal that I found. I made a staircase so I could actually get to it. Gosh, I was so scared at that point, and I was like, I'm such a numpty for doing that. And I threw an ender pearl, and guess what happened? The ender pearl actually went through and went all the way across to another island that was across the portal. Can you see the portal there? That was so scary. I can't believe I did that. I mean, what if the ender pearl had ended up in the void? I was actually really lucky that it landed on an island. Oh my goodness, I thought, I'm not doing that again. No, thank you very much. So instead of using ender pearls again or anything like that, I bridged all the way across to that little island which had the portal, and I thought, this time I'm going to be very, very careful when I throw the ender pearl. I threw the ender pearl right at the very corner so that it wouldn't jump, go all the way out and through the portal. It would go actually into the portal, and yes, oh gosh, I was so stressed, but it worked in the end. It worked, and it actually took me straight to the center again. which was interesting. It was interesting to see how different places where these portals take you, but it's not what I would call a secure way of traveling. I wouldn't use that again, so I thought, right, that's it, I'm going home. So this is what happened here. So I got to the portal, and just as I was about to fall into the portal, that split second as I was falling through the portal, I looked up and I thought, oh my goodness, I forgot the egg. And as I was being transported into the overworld, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go back into the end to get that egg for what it's worth. But then I found out that actually I had been transported to my base. Yes, my base. It actually appeared in my base. I must have forgotten to set my spawn properly at the portal. So I took the opportunity to leave a whole lot of things and clear out my inventory a bit, but I had to walk all the way back to the stronghold to get back to the portal to actually get back in and try and get the egg. Oh my goodness, I was so frustrated. I was so annoyed with myself, I have to say. So annoyed. But anyway, so I did that. I went all the way back. And I used the advice I got from that Enderman to get the egg. Because apparently you needed a torch. So I picked up a torch. And I went to see if I could get it. Now, of course, the egg was on the bedrock. So I couldn't break the bedrock. I just tried my silk touch pickaxe because I thought, could it work? I mean, I know the Enderman told me that it wouldn't work, but I thought I'd try it. No, it didn't work. The egg teleported, but it teleported in a place where I could actually get it. So what I did was I checked to see exactly where it would fall. I blocked the portal at that section because I was worried, what if the egg actually fell through the portal or something? I didn't know what would happen if the egg fell through the portal, but yes, so I placed the torch down, broke the end zone, and hey, I had the egg. Amazing. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the egg, but never mind. Yes. So anyway, so I got the egg, and I made my way back home. Yes, and that was basically the adventure at the end. I don't know if I'm going to go back to the end. And I'm not quite sure what happens with the Endermen that are in the overworld. Will they remember me from the end? I don't know. Are they the same Endermen or are they different Endermen? I don't really know. I don't know how it works. But anyway, so guys, that's it for today. A bit of a long episode, but I hope you enjoyed it. Next episode, I'm going to try to fly. It's going to be interesting. I think I'm not quite sure how well it's going to go. Because I really have never done that sort of thing before. But the goblin flying, yes, it's going to be interesting. So I'll see you then, guys, in the next episode. Bye-bye.